Hello and welcome to my 1 year anniversary since I quit my full-time, not particularly well-paying job, but it was certainly quite stable, to join the absolutely crazy, mad world of cryptocurrency trading full-time. And I also do YouTube as well, if you hadn't have guessed. That's kind of my full-time job. And at the end of that year, I decided that, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to purchase myself a Lamborghini, and that was ultimately the end goal here. So I'm going to run over in today's video what it's been like for the past 12 months for me. I'm also going to run through literally the whole lead up to this whole experience. So basically 10 years back, how did it all start? The whole process of me going through in order to achieve this goal here. So if you are interested in that, then please do make sure you have liked today's video. Make sure you have slapped that subscribe button and let's crack on.
Few boys in the VIP were just floating. Hit the club past the mic, let's go. Sick eyes on me when I rolling. Pull up in a whip, it's stolen, yo.
So I actually quit my job on April Fool's Day, April the 1st, 2019. On that day, I handed in my 3-month notice, and I was swiftly told, don't return at the end of the month, which kind of pleased me a little bit because I was expecting to have to work another 3 months at a job that I severely disliked at the time. But at the same time, it does leave you with quite a sour feeling in your mouth when you're essentially told to piss off from a job that you've been working for 6 years and they couldn't give a toss if you're leaving. It was quite gutting to feel that, to be honest. And for those of you that have been following my channel throughout the past year since quitting my job, you may have noticed a few things have changed, such as the background and the fact I've gained about 10 kilos. So here it is, my story for the past 10 years, and it's not the happiest of stories, but it does have quite a happy ending so far. God knows where I'm going to be in 10 years. I might be in some gutter somewhere, but for now, it's got quite a happy ending. Every good story needs a good start, so we're going to start back in 2010. My parents in 2010 asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I was about 12 or 14 years old at the time. Don't want to get into too much specifics, but I requested for my birthday that I get a driving experience in a Lamborghini, and this is kind of where it all began. So I actually took part in this driving experience in around October of 2010. I remember when I was driving it, we got about 15 minutes to drive this car. I hit 90 miles an hour, and there is nothing more inspiring to a 12 to 14-year-old than doing 90 miles an hour in a Lamborghini on an airstrip. And I encourage every single father watching this, buy your child some kind of opportunity, some kind of day out like that when this whole thing's over, because it really did inspire me back then to think I need to go and get this car when I am older. And I gave myself the limit of 25. I said to myself, I'll become a millionaire by the age of 25. And looking back on it, that doesn't actually seem quite realistic for someone of that age to be saying, but well, it worked out in the end. And when I was driving that car on that airfield, I felt like Jeremy Clarkson. I felt like I'd achieved something. And I was so pleased with my whole experience that upon my incredibly late discovery of YouTube in around December 2010, I thought, you know what? I'm going to become a YouTuber. I'm going to upload all these videos that I took, or rather my brother took, of me driving this Lamborghini to YouTube, which was took on an old Samsung Talker phone, I think they were called back then. And it got a whole 79 views over the course of 10 years, of which every single one of them I think is myself. But what that did was it set the wheels in motion for where I am today. But actually, that wasn't even the first time that I uploaded to YouTube. My YouTube career didn't start with crypto YouTube. It didn't start with car YouTube. It started with me making stop-motion animation films, of which I'm going to show you one now. Now, this is the first video that I ever uploaded to YouTube. It's called Morph Sketch, and it's well worth a watch.
Hello, my name's Jimmy and I'm a skateboarder. Hi. Oh no, no, no!
In fact, no, it's probably not worth a watch. I'd sit for hours taking photos of these little plasticine figures, moving them bit by bit, because my dream at the time was to become an animator for Aardman. And that Morph Sketch video gained a whole 35 views over the course of 10 years, so obviously I was never going to make it in that industry. But now, we're going to move on a few years, because I didn't really do that much during the next few years. I kind of focused on being a nerd at school and achieving everything that I could do on that front. Now, at that age, you go to what is called secondary school in the UK, or high school if you're in America. It's the school before college. College you attend between 16 and 18 years old, or in the UK it's often called sixth form college. But I was always very good in school. I tried hard, I got decent grades, I was generally top end of the class, I was in the top sets for everything. I was quite a smart person, and that really really doesn't help when it comes to social life, because I kind of had none, because nobody really likes the nerdy kid that tends to get everything right. But overall at school, the first school that I went to anyway, secondary school, I did fairly well. But all that changed when I went to a different sixth form college than the school that I was already at. When I joined this new school, I didn't really realise that there's already been 5 years of friendships being formed, which basically means it's impossible to fit into any friendship group because no friendship group wants to have you. So I was very much an outsider when I moved schools, and I kind of decided after a month of going to this new college that I'd had enough and I wanted out, and I was not going to pass anything. I'd made my mind up at that point. I'm a fairly stubborn person, and it's not because I'm thick that I didn't try. I just kind of decided that I could find education elsewhere, and that in 2013 is the time that I discovered Bitcoin. Now, at the time, I was spending a lot of time on the internet, and everyone watching this video right now, I'm assuming you've been through the same process of spending a little bit too long on the internet, and then you come across Bitcoin, you're like, well, what's that? Well, the thing that really got me into Bitcoin was people selling drugs on the Silk Road. I was really into the dark web and hacking communities at the time, and the Silk Road got me into Bitcoin, essentially, because I was like, how are people buying and selling drugs almost legally via the internet? And that really, like, the whole free market idea really got me into it. And at that point in time, I decided I was going to purchase 2 Bitcoins to have a play around with online. I think they cost me about $300 each, those Bitcoins back then. Now, I do want to point out that I didn't actually ever use those Bitcoins on the Silk Road. I literally just held on to them for a long period of time, watched them go up in value, and then watched them tank. And then at that point, a few years later, I actually bought Ethereum with them. Anyway, long story short, I failed all my AS levels. Now, you need to complete AS levels in the UK in order to complete your A levels. So I literally failed at the first hurdle, but it wasn't like that concerning to me. I kind of knew that this eventuality was going to happen because I just didn't try. I felt that there was more education to be found elsewhere. But at the same time, what did kind of shock me a little bit is how bluntly I was told by my head of sixth form that I would not be coming back the next year, and I was essentially booted out of school. And that came as a bit of a surprise to me, and at that time I said to the head of sixth form, I bet you by the age of 21 years old, I will own a Porsche Boxster. Now, for me at the time, Porsche Boxsters are about £15,000 to £20,000 second hand, and I thought, well, that's quite an achievable goal. She bet against me. This is how mean and horrible the teachers at that school were. They literally bet that I would fail having left school early. How horrible is that to do to a 16-year-old? It is really, honestly, malicious and nasty. But anyway, I still owe that teacher £5 because I didn't get a Porsche Boxster by 21. But we all know what I own now, and so that £5 is not a problem. So, Miss Quigley, if you want to come and get your fiver, you're more than welcome. Literally, from this point on, life was very much against me for like the next 7 years. Honestly, it's been a really difficult journey for me to even get this far. I've not been blessed with luck at all. But I think that's one of the reasons why my story is really quite important, because it does show the value of tenacity. It shows the value of entrepreneurship, and it shows you no matter what your situation, what your background is, where you come from, you can still achieve something with your life. I don't come from a wealthy background. I don't come from a particularly bright academic background. I come from a normal family. My dad's a plumber. My mum works for the council. I am a normal person, and I just so happen to have broken the mold, unlike 99% of the people that I went to school with that did come from probably wealthier, more affluent, more smarter, more clever backgrounds. But it just goes to show that tenacity and wanting to educate yourself and better yourself really does work. Anyway, moving on with the story. I didn't care that I got kicked out of school at that point because I already had a job lined up. Because the firm that I did work experience with that year, I sent begging letters to. I was ringing them up every day, begging them for a job basically, because I kind of wanted to work there. Because when I was doing my work experience, they literally promised me the earth. They promised me a great job that would pay well. I would be able to go abroad to Dubai. I'd be able to go to Norway, all on these oil trips, to go and set up these new platforms and do all this business. As a 16, 17-year-old, that sounds great, and all I had to do was do an apprenticeship for 3 years. That sounded like a really good deal for someone of my age in my position. So that's why I really went for it, and I managed to get that job despite them not even having a job advertised. I was the first sales engineer apprentice at that company ever. However, I ended up spending 6 years of my life being somebody's bitch. Now, that's probably slightly an over-exaggeration. For the first 2 or 3 years, they were quite pleasant. My boss was very kind. However, unfortunately, the boss that took me on, the boss that promised me the earth, he retired. So he couldn't really give me anything. And now I was left with this complete tosser called Martin, and he decided on day one, the first day that he met me, that he didn't like me, and that was really quite clear from the tone of his voice and the way that he spoke to me. He was a condescending prick, and there's no better way of describing it, and I had to put up with that for the entire time that I worked there, but even more so when he became my boss. Anyway, to give you an idea of the wage structure that I was on when I had a job, I started out on £7,000 a year. I thought this was like the best thing ever at the time. I was earning like £600 a month, working full time. And I'm thinking, this is great, I've got so much money now. Oh, how wrong I was. Anyway, the wage structure went up like this. After a couple of years, I went up to about £13,000 a year, then £18,000 a year. There was probably a stopgap around £14,500 a year in between. And I ended up finishing that job on £24,500 a year, which actually worked out about £1,700 a month. So not a bad wage, but by no means a great wage, especially considering the time, the devotion that I was giving to that company, and the fact that there was people doing the same job as me getting paid literally twice as much, which I just could never get my head around because it's just not fair. The fact that just because I don't have the qualification, that justifies you to pay me less, despite us doing the same thing? Where is the logic in that? You pay someone what they're worth. I think it's disgraceful. And I think you can probably see, like, this actually gets me annoyed, and it's been playing on my mind a lot recently. The fact that these people go out through their lives, take advantage of, like, these young children, and waste their lives. I wasted 6 years of my life working for this company. And it upsets me, because there was no need for it. There just was no need. If they'd have just been honest with me in the beginning, I'd have found something else. But they wasted my life for those 6 years. Anyway, on October the 2nd, 2016, I finally decided I'd had enough. I could not do this 1 second longer without figuring out some kind of exit plan. And I was watching Supercars of London and Seen Through Glass every lunchtime. And I was watching Supercars of London with his Lamborghini Gallardo Bicolore, the same one as I've got now. Not actually the same physical car, but the same type of car. And I was thinking, how does someone age 23 go out, buy a Lamborghini, buy an Audi R8? Why can't that be me? And that why can't that be me feeling was the thing that drove me for the next few years to build what I have now. Because at that point in time, I decided, look, nothing is going to stop me from achieving my goals. Because it was honestly, I was crushed at that point. My soul was utterly crushed and I had no other option. So on October the 2nd, 2016, That Martini Guy was founded. This YouTube channel was founded, and that was my saviour. That was the best thing that I have ever done. Among other things, there is quite a few best things I've ever done, but that was one of them, definitely. And why That Martini Guy? Like, everyone asks, why would you call your channel like something so weird? And the simple answer to that is, at the time I had a Mini Cooper Roadster SD, and it had the Martini livery stripe over it. I paid like £300 for some to put that sticker on the top of it. Hi, I'm That Martini Guy, and today I'm going to tell you 7 things I hate about my Mini Cooper Roadster. And it looked really cool, and I thought, well, I may as well call my channel that because I want to be a car channel. At that point in time, I figured, you know what, I need to do more inside content in front of a camera like this, more free-flowing content. So I decided to make videos about car YouTube, and those videos, that was the heyday of this channel. Every video banged better than the last. Each video was clocking above 100,000 views. Those were the good times of this channel. Those were the times I actually only gained like 10,000 subscribers, because I guess the videos were that bad. They really weren't that good, but they still managed to bang and get decent views. Before we begin, I would like to say a big thank you to those 100 people that have subscribed to this channel over the past 2 weeks. And then I ran into a little bit of trouble. You see, the trouble arose when I referred to Archie Hamilton as a nonce in a diss track. Now, the word nonce to me, I see it as a very jokey word. No one actually calls people a nonce and thinks that they are a nonce. Now, I called Archie a nonce as a joke.
Nobody expected me to write this song. They were all too busy milking their father's dog.
So I'm sat here editing this video and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, what the hell was going through my mind back then? But you're going to like the next part.
Archie Hamilton, you are a nonce. Touch his bumholes, the fucking pond.
I put a disclaimer in the diss track saying that this is a joke.
And yes, I just made that up.
And this twat still sent me a message on Instagram threatening me. At the time, I was probably about 20 years old, earning £18,000 a year, that he was going to sue me for a lot of money and ruin my life because I called him a nonce. That scared me a lot. A guy in his position of power. You got to remember, R.J. Hamilton's dad owns a supercar dealership. The guy is an incredibly wealthy, rich boy, and he was threatening me with a lawsuit. Well, not a lawsuit in the UK because we don't actually call it that, but for you Americans it's called a lawsuit over there. He was threatening me with that. It was terrifying, to be honest. But anyway, I just took the video down. I begged and pleaded with the guy, do not do this, please, because you will ruin my life. And he's like, make a public apology. Do you really want to bring more drama to this situation, you cock? And Archie, if I ever meet you in public, and I'm sure that I will do because I'm going to go to a lot of car events when this whole lockdown is over, I do expect an apology for that because it was completely out of order the way that you acted back then. It boggles my mind how someone can be so self-centered, so much of a prick. I don't know how you can do that. If someone called me a nonce, you laugh it off and you continue. But if you react the way that you react, it suggests that there is some kind of guilty conscience there. And I'm not suggesting that there is. But I'm saying the way you reacted makes you look guilty. And the way you reacted really, really influenced the direction that I took. So thank you for that at the same time. Because I did eventually, after about 6 months after that incident, quit making car YouTube videos. Quit making videos about car YouTubers. And I actually started making videos about my second hobby, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And now we're in the back end of 2017. My crypto portfolio has gone from being $600 in about 2016 to being around £60,000. I was earning about £1,000 a day altcoin trading at the back end of 2017, and I thought this could not get any better. This was a dream scenario for me. My actual portfolio, I think, peaked around between 60 and 80k. So in terms of dollar value, that's around probably $100,000. So a lot of money at the time, especially considering I'm only earning around £20,000 a year at this particular time. But then the bear market hit and my life changed again because I lost everything in the bear market, and the little that I had left got stolen from me when I was hacked in July 2018. Literally the worst month of my life. Having achieved all those goals in late 2017, I was left with literally nothing. And not only that, in July of 2018, I was involved in an accident that cost me a lot emotionally, physically, and in the bank as well. And it wasn't my fault. I was a victim of circumstance, but it ended up literally ruining my life. At that point, for me, suicide seemed like the best option. I was incredibly depressed. I didn't upload on YouTube for about 2 or 3 months. You can check my channel back then. And then the videos that I did upload, I was just depressed as shit, and they were rubbish. They were just rubbish videos. So it took a long time for me to get over that, but I was very fortunate that around August time, my girlfriend got back from Canada because she'd been studying in Canada for a year, kind of while I went up and then like crashed like Bitcoin did. July 2018 was my absolute rock bottom. However, when she returned, I guess things started getting better after a while because she kind of brought me round. She got me back on track, thinking the way that I should be thinking. And I found my mojo. I got back into trading and making YouTube videos. And at that point in time, I figured I need out. I cannot work for this company anymore. It's literally crushing my soul having to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning every morning and then being late to work because of traffic, and then my boss be having a go at me for that, and then my boss having a go at me for this, that, other, standing over my shoulder, putting me on report, being a complete cock, despite the fact that I've been doing this job for 6 years and I do not need babysitting. There is nothing more demotivational than someone standing behind your shoulder critiquing every single thing that you do. That drove me insane, and I knew that I had to get out. And at the end of 2018, that was my turning point mentally. That was the point. I just couldn't take anymore. I knew I had to get out. I knew I had to come up with a plan. So I started really upping the amount of trading that I was doing, really trying to take it professional. And I was very successful when I started to do that. I was quite fortunate in the fact that every single penny that I had left after this horrifically financially terrible year, I put into Bitcoin at around $3,500 to $3,700. I also opened a long on BitMEX at $3,740 that is still open to this day, just to remind me of how bad things were back then and the fact that I never want to revisit that mental space that I was in. And at the end of 2018, on New Year's, I said, look, I'm quitting my job this year. I'm going to quit it at the end of the financial year. and I'm going to do YouTube and cryptocurrency trading full time. And that is exactly what I did, and I do not regret it at all. It was literally the best decision of my life, because at the time, working full time, I was earning £1,700 a month. Trading, after I'd finished work, I was earning about £10,000 a month. Obviously, after showing my parents multiple occasions that I can do this, I can be successful, I eventually managed to get the blessing. My mom not so much, she's still not so keen on what I do. She seems to think I'm a drug dealer or something. But my dad is very much pro-entrepreneurship, and he once told me, if you've got an idea that isn't going to cost you a penny to try and pursue, then go for it, because you never know what's going to work out. And I'm so pleased that he told me that. He used to tell me that when I was much younger, and he told me it many times. He told me that I would come up with this idea one day, and I guess this could be that idea. You never know which idea it is, but this could be what he told me about. So it was on April Fool's Day of 2019 that I handed in my notice. I worked my 30-day notice period after being told that I only had to do 30 days, which I'm kind of pleased about. My mum, not so much, because she said, look, you're losing your stable income 2 months sooner. And I'm like, that's great. That means I can earn even more money.
Hello, I'm free. Just got out of work. This is good. Don't have to go back there anymore.
Now, nothing in my situation, nothing in this entire story has been about luck. Everything in this entire story is about being me, grafting, working through terrible situations, to be honest, because I've not been blessed with luck. I've not been blessed with friends that are wealthy. I've not been blessed with rich parents. I've not really been blessed that much at all. I had to make my own luck. And I'm pleased to say almost 365 days to the day since leaving work for the final time, I have been successful in what I set out to achieve. It brings me such great joy knowing that anybody can work themselves out of a bad situation. Never give up hope. I've achieved all of my financial goals, and I became a millionaire for a very short period during 2019. Not a millionaire anymore, of course, because I bought the car. Even in terms of assets, I'm not a millionaire because I did lose a substantial amount of money when Bitcoin fell a little bit. As we all know, I think everyone lost money on that dump because it was quite ferocious. I'm very fortunate to be in a position at my age where I can afford to buy a Lamborghini and can afford to insure it without finance. I don't think there's anybody that I know at this age that's been able to achieve that. Even these forex traders, they go out and they finance the cars. I didn't finance it because I don't need to finance it, as I'm going to explain in a future video. So anyway, I followed my dreams in 2019 and 2020. Although we've not got off to the best of starts, I really do hope it brings more fruit for everybody this year, and I do hope that this story can bring you some kind of inspiration. I want you to understand, haters are not important. Negative people, remove them from your life. People that comment on my videos, negative things, I can only assume that there is something lacking in your life that drives you to be so negative. Don't ever let anybody doubt you. I went from being a complete fuck up over the course of 18 months to being very successful at the end of it. I stay humble because I know how it feels to reach a personal bottom, and I don't mean that as an innuendo. I mean that as I know how it feels to hit rock bottom. I hit it. It doesn't feel good. It really doesn't. And so that keeps me very humble as a person, because I know how it feels to be in that situation. I never want to have that feeling again, and I'm so thankful for every single one of you that watches my content every day. It does mean a lot to me. It means a lot to me when you hit that like button, when you subscribe to the channel, and it really does mean a lot to me when you comment below, because YouTube does not push this content. I have to push this content to you guys, and then I kind of rely on the audience to spread it around, because for whatever reason, YouTube is not my friend at the moment. So it is on that note, guys, I really do hope you can take something positive away from today's video. I really do hope you've got to know me a little bit more, because nobody really knows that much about me, and I'm still not disclosed that much personal information, I hope, in this video, because I don't need to disclose it. You don't need to understand the ins and outs of what my age is and everything like that. I don't think it's particularly important. Just understand that I am under the age of 25, and I've been quite successful. So on that note, have a great day. Thank you to everyone that's played a positive role in my journey, and I really do hope that you stick around for the future. Deuces.
This video is over now. Go find something else to watch, or just watch this video. I know we had a lot of fun, but you can't stay on this end screen forever.